Hello and welcome to the Home Assistant Podcast. My name's Phil. Joining me as usual, I've got Rohan. How you doing, mate?
Hey, good. How are you?
Very good, thank you. And today we have Courtney with us. Hey, Courtney, how you going?
Not too bad. How are you?
Good, thank you. As usual, this podcast is sponsored by Home Assistant Cloud by Nabucasa. For a small monthly fee, you'll unlock powerful features like secure, effortless access to your system from anywhere, your choice of voice assistants, offsite backups, and more, all configurable in the UI with no YAML needed. It also supports the development of the Home Assistant, ESP Home, and other Open Home Foundation projects. Click the link in the description to learn more. We'd also like to give a shout out to our Patreon members, including our executive producers, Benny and Rob. You can help support the show and get early access to episodes, all in an ad free feed. To support the show, check out homeassistant.fm and click Patreon in the menu. Courtney, thank you so much for joining us today. We've actually had you on the podcast before. I was re-listening to our episode yesterday. It was episode 45, which was back in 2019, March 2019, I'm going to say. So pre-pandemic. This is something that been toying with Rohan all year about. I wanted to get kicked off. I want to go back and speak to some of our previous guests. We've been doing this podcast for a quick minute now, and I want to hear about people's journeys with Home Assistant. What do they change? Like Home Assistant has evolved. How has your smart home evolved? And so you're the very first guinea pig for this type of episode. So thank you for.
Oh, I didn't know I got to be first.
I know, yeah, that's
That's
just
right.
the way the cookie crumbled.
Surprise.
Um, yeah, surprise. So yeah, a quick catch up. So last time we spoke to you, I believe you were on a Raspberry Pi 2B. Were using a lot of Google Home around the house. You were using HAS.io. It was because it was called HAS.io back then, not HAS.os as it is, or Home Assistant OS as it is now. And you were, I believe, you had some roommates, and you were living with your boyfriend, and you're using the Sony PlayStation as your main media entertainment unit, and you're driving a lot of automations or using a lot of automations for the PlayStation.
That was the key feature was the PlayStation
Yeah,
integration. Yeah.
exactly right.
Yeah.
So, fast forward a pandemic, and what is it like? What's my maths? Like 6 years now. I mean, Home Assistant's come a long way. Like, I mean, first question is, are you using Home Assistant? Have you still got a smart home, or did you give up on it?
Ditch it.
Yeah. Still using Home Assistant. PlayStation's put out a new version too, for that matter. We're
Great.
now
Yep.
on the PS5, which certainly
That's great.
changed integration a bunch. Um, I upgraded from the Raspberry Pi when Home Assistant Blue
Yes.
not as immediately when it was available, but shortly thereafter.
Yeah.
So I'm on I think the N2 Plus Odroid something.
Yes.
Um, Not
Yep.
exactly sure. Like mine doesn't have the fancy little box or anything. It's just the
Yeah.
computer board. Um, and that is just like it's an incredible step up from. I think I went to a Raspberry Pi 4 in between there somewhere, but definitely it's a much more powerful little machine.
Yeah.
Have no issues with it at all.
So
And
Home Assistant Blue was Nabucasa's first like dedicated Home Assistant hardware for Home Assistant. It's now been discontinued. They've just, at the time of recording, they've just announced they're discontinuing the Home Yellow, which was the beefed up version of the Blue. Have you found the now that Home Assistant Blue is no longer being sold? Have you found any issues with support for that hardware?
no, not at all. And I don't anticipate, like from what I've read anyway, I don't anticipate there being any because the underlying, like I don't know the right words, the chipsets or whatever are the same as what's sort
Mhm.
of currently being used. And so, yeah, no issues at all.
Yeah, and I
Uh,
mean that's what how Navigator advertised, right? Like they're still supporting the blue, right? And they're still going to support the yellow. I just wanted to
Yeah.
see from a real world case if that
yeah, yeah,
rings
no.
true.
I think the only thing is like like I say, if I had the fancy little case, I'm not sure I could get a replacement one if it broke or something. But I think
Yeah,
the 3D printer files are probably still out there, so be
I was gonna
easy
say, I'm
enough.
sure you could just 3D print it or something like that, right? And
I do have a little like stand for it, like a little 3D printed, just like a backing plate to sort
yeah.
of
yeah.
hold it. And I was going to get um, machine screws to like properly mount it to it, but it just sits there through gravity. It's been fine
I
for several years now. So
Good enough.
yeah.
I think the blue had a limited edition metal case as well. Did you get a metal case with
No, I
yours?
got mine through, I don't know if it was through hard kernel, but like because I'm in Canada, it was a whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
right.
definitely seems like Europe is the place to be if you want to get sort of the real branded Home Assistant stuff directly. Definitely ordering it here was a little bit it was just a little bit trickier,
Yeah.
but
It has
yeah.
gotten better, I will say that, like, with the yellow and the green and all that stuff, you can actually get it from proper stores now and or even Amazon. The Nabucasa store on Amazon
Oh, nice.
exists. So that's a
It
good thing.
exists. Yeah. And probably better in Canada than in the States right now, I imagine. But
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. Again, a lot of that stuff, I think some of it's coming from China, so it shouldn't be subject to tariffs and all that stuff too. And
yeah, changes
but
day to day a
yeah,
little.
yeah, exactly.
So you got started using HomeKit to track energy monitoring and electricity usage. This was before the Home Assistant Energy Dashboard. Home Assistant has a whole bunch of things now. Have you evolved your electricity monitoring with Home Assistant's electricity management? Are you now like doing everything through Home Assistant, or are you not managing electricity as much anymore?
Yeah, so I don't remember what it was like in 2019. But now I have a little $50 thing I bought from my power company that uses some proprietary wireless something to talk to my power meter. Um, and then because all it does is just publish MQTT packets, Home Assistant can just listen for those and picks them up and brings them in as energy. And yeah, with the energy dashboard now, like it's just a no-brainer. I just can see in real time exactly how much power I'm using very easily and see trends and stuff over time. It's all very straightforward. I don't even like the when I first got the little box from the power company, like they have an app and the app is not very good. But I was still using it quite a bit because that was the way I could access that information. And I don't even think I have the app on my phone anymore. It Home Assistant has just completely replaced that. It's very, very useful for like it's right down to the second, basically, like maybe even smaller than a second. I haven't dove that deep, but I can tell like, when my boyfriend's turned the kettle on to make his coffee, I can see the spike right away
Yeah,
for that and that
that's
kind of
perfect.
thing.
That's
So
actually it's cool that your power company is doing that. I mean, again, obviously we're in different provinces in Canada, but mine is nowhere near there. I mean, I feel like I should give them a call and be like, "Hey, what are you guys doing?"
the pushback that BC got when we went to smart meters was significant. And so like that was a whole thing. And I don't think they certainly don't know what I'm doing, right? Like I don't think they'd have a problem with it, but like they're not advanced enough to like understand what they've produced. They've just paid some third party company to make a little box that someone can plug into the wall. And if it doesn't work, like they have no ability to help you troubleshoot it at all. So
I mean, mine still when I log into their portal looks like it was written in like 1992, right? And it's like it's still like primitive is an understatement, I think. So that's yeah, it's I feel like BC Hydro might be a little beyond there, or whoever
yeah,
you're for.
little bit, little bit.
Yeah.
The other thing that, and I don't know, like it feels like it just came out on Home Assistant, but is the ability to like um assign, like you can see what you have assigned as usage. So like if I have a few devices that have energy monitoring, but not very many. But one of the things that I have intended to do and still haven't yet done, again, it feels like this feature just came out last week, but I'm thinking about it and it's definitely been a couple years, is to like basically like shut down the whole house and get a sense of like because I can use the real-time energy monitoring to get a sense of like how much power draw is, the
Mm,
PlayStation on idle and things like that to just
Right.
get a sense of sort of our base power load and how that breaks out.
yeah. What's your resting power usage? What's all that phantom energy that's being sucked out?
Exactly.
Right.
And where's it going, right? Like where I
Yeah.
can see
Yeah.
what it is, but what's it going to? I don't know. How much of that's the freezer, how much of that, like the air conditioner is very easy to
Yeah.
identify, right? Because
Yeah.
it's so dramatic, but for all those little things, it's it's not as obvious. And so I think the UI in Home Assistant just makes it really easy to like basically to the only reason I haven't done it is because I do live with a couple of other people, and to do that, like I really do need to shut the whole house off, which can be an inconvenience to
Yeah,
some.
Yeah, can only
that's
imagine.
funny. Yeah, it's I feel like, trying to go through that cycle is that's an interesting uh way to do it too, right? And it's like, okay, let's just see. Okay, this is my base. Now I turn on my, I don't know, my fridge, right? And then
Mhm.
my washing machine and whatever. And it's like try to see what that is. Do you right now, do you break out per breaker? Like do you have one of those like monitors on your breaker panel that
No, all I
checks by
have
wire? Okay.
is the thing that talks to the meter, so it's the like full
It's just
load.
a whole
It doesn't
meter.
break it out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And then, like I
Okay.
say, I have a couple of plugs that are, I think, VSync ones that have like energy monitoring, but
Right.
they're not the primary one. Like they're just sort of extras for Christmas lights or whatever we decide to put on them. So,
Yeah, that's like I think I've got the same thing where like I can see the whole house and then individual devices. But then I want to do like when the aircon's on, I can just see like from the unaccounted energy, like the big spike, right? Like it's a big grey thing. Like, all right, I know that's the air. So I'd love to get go into the breaker and I think Shelley do some monitoring clamps that you can put on at the circuit level. And then you can go, okay, this is the aircon circuit, this is the kitchen circuit, and then from the kitchen you can break it down. Okay, the kitchen's using this amount of energy, but it's actually 50% was to the fridge or whatever. So yeah, I think that's my 2026 mission.
That also assumes that, like, again, my house is wired so randomly. Like,
yeah, I'm in the same
I
boat.
get right. Like
My air
again, like
conditioner
I
is
would
on its own breaker, to be fair, as is my
same. Yeah.
stove, right? Like, but yeah, everything like I went through when we were doing some work on the basement, um, and we I did go through at one point and mapped out which outlets and lights are on which breakers, and traced it all down and put little stickers on all my outlets with the numbers of the breakers on them. And then I reworked the breakers, and so some of that data is not valid anymore. Um, but yeah, it's not as simple as like this is the breaker for these two walls on the living room. It's like this breaker goes to two outlets that are like on the same wall in different rooms, and then like, one all the way across the
Something
house just
random.
for fun.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
who even
Yeah.
knows?
Like mine, my when I went to go change my smoke alarm, it's like I have obviously a smoke alarm upstairs, downstairs, whatever. So fine, I understand that that's on a circuit, on the same circuit, and so on. Fine. Some of my lights in my basement are out. Some of my lights in my bedroom are out, and I'm like, okay, there's this is way too random. And then it's like it's yeah, I hate it. So it's hard to predict even with that, right? I can say per breaker, but what does a breaker really represent outside of, to your point, EV charger or washing machine or like stuff with a dedicated circuit, AC, those kind of things, right?
Hmm. Well, and the
I mean,
dream will be to have, right, like to be able to bring, like, I'm sure that I have the granularity of data in Home Assistant for things like with enough days of trends, this light, every time this light comes on, the power usage goes up this amount, and every time it goes off, it goes down this amount. Like looking at that data retroactively to like figure out how much energy that particular light is using. Certainly,
Yeah,
like from a data science perspective, is possible, right? And so that's kind of the dream, is that you then don't need to have kind of clamps anywhere if you can tell
true.
the system when stuff's on and off, right? So one day.
I think there's an energy monitor that actually does that. Like, well, they're supposed to use AI. Everything uses AI now,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But
of
the
course.
whole idea is that they will learn over time, and they can determine based on your usage. Is the washing machine on, or is the dishwasher on, or have you got the oven on? And then have that in the report.
Doable now. Like again, if you have the smart devices, right? Like it's doable. It's just a matter of putting it all together.
Yeah, I think the sense does that, if I'm not mistaken, where it's like, hey, we'll assume that this type of power, I don't know, signature is whatever type of device, right? And it's like, again, it's just I don't know. I feel like it's a lot harder to get something good in whole home energy.
And Rohan, to your point, you can, if you were to put energy monitors on each breaker and then have them into Home Assistant, you could define the parent energy source. So you could actually do like this is breaker one,
Yes.
and then that would fan off into this is the kitchen light, living room light on the one circuit, and be able to see
Yeah.
per breaker where everything's going.
Yeah. Assuming I know where everything goes. Right.
Yes,
Right.
that's right.
There's
That's
a
that's also true.
there's a bunch of labels on my thing, on my breaker box,
None
and
of them are
it doesn't
correct.
even line up with the breakers, because obviously breakers have been replaced and stuff like that, and you go to like the smaller ones where you can have two per breaker and whatever, right? And it's like, yeah, it's all out of whack. But I don't know. I hate it. But I mean, what else really has evolved in your across the last few years? I guess let's call it, right. And in terms of how you has there been a fundamental shift in how you operate your smart home?
I mean, I think there's been about 12 little shifts that maybe all add up to one fundamental one. So the new dashboard, not even the, I don't know which iteration of dashboarding, but anyway, I think when we spoke last, I was using like a house map. So we had done like a floor plan and had the lights for the different rooms and stuff on the floor plan. And that was really helpful, I think, for it, like for getting started, like for trying to sort of cognitively map the where things are in the house to what they're called and that kind of thing. But at some point, in some nice new tiles thing, we switched to the. I think it's actually like a one of the generated dashboards. Like it's just by room. I just set which rooms I want to show, and then have like set a bunch of entities to be not visible by default or whatever. Like there's some setting there that's really nice. It's quite granular. And so now we just have the nice sort of toggle switches, and that's really just more, finger friendly, right? Than if we have, two lights that are close to each other physically, they don't have to be close to each other on the iPad for hitting them. And it's easy to show, I have my garbage pickup schedule in there. We have alternating garbage and recycling weeks, and so it's easy for anyone to just look at the thing and see whether it's recycling or garbage this week. And um, I think, yeah, and we did get a smart thermostat, so we can both see and control heat and cool through Home Assistant. And the progress that, like, right around the time I got the smart thermostat is when they were reworking the thermostat controls, and so that's really nice, the way it works now. There was definitely a very brief beta period where it was a little bit tricky, but we got through that without too much issue.
Did you get one of
Um,
Nice.
those like learning thermostats and then using their proprietary learning, or did you go like using
I
Home
don't
Assistant to do
even
some
think it
magic?
can learn. Like, I don't know. I got it because it was available with a rebate and it would integrate with Home Assistant, and kind
Yep.
of
Sure.
didn't care what else. Like, it's just from its perspective, it's set on like always manual, right? Like it's just
Yeah.
locked. And then Home Assistant adjusts the temperature based on automations and whatever I
Yeah.
have it set for. And then so that's, yeah, it's really nice to be able to just not have to think about what the software that the company that
Yeah.
focuses on making thermostats is trying to do for me, because they're not always the
No,
favorite.
not all, exactly. And as long as it doesn't have a cloud dependency, um, as long as it's got local control, you should be fine.
Yeah, and actually, I don't know. I do know that it works fine. And that's kind of as far as I went with it. Was cheap and it works fine. So
Yep. It works.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
that's as far as I went with it.
Well, a lot of
And
times what you can do is like with the EcoBeat that I have, actually bring it in through HomeKit, right? And I actually found that it was way more reliable for me just in general, um, to get a stable connection so that
mhm.
Home Assistant can do stuff, right? So
Yeah, well, there's lots of alternatives now too. I'm still not doing anything Zigbee or Z-Wave yet. It's I'm definitely curious. Like I've been thinking about it. I have a third-party security system through my telecom provider that I had integrated with Home Assistant for a time, but never very well. And it, I don't know, fell off at some point through some update or something. And I never fought to get it back. And like, I probably just need to cancel it. Like it's not really serving me very well. Certainly what I'm paying for it isn't worth the reassurance that they'll, send the fire department if my house is on fire. There's other ways to accomplish that, and I think it runs on, like, I don't even know if it's Z-Wave or Zigbee. Like, it runs on some thing. But all my main stuff is all mostly Tuya um, stuff, and that actually has come a really long way, right? Like the relationship with Tuya and Home Assistant has been great. And it's so easy now. Like I say, I was setting up my roommate asked if he could get a light for his room that he could dim so that it wasn't so bright all the time. And I went, yeah, I've got a closet full of those, and set him up with a smart bulb. And um like the setup, I actually don't know if I could have done the setup process through Home Assistant. I didn't even try. I just did it through the Smart Life app, like I've always done
Yep.
it. But
Yep.
within, I then popped into Home Assistant and told the integration to refresh, and it was right there. And, he already has the Home Assistant app on his phone. I'm like, here's your light. I can move it to a different, like, we can rename the room or whatever. So
Mm.
it'll auto sort to a different spot if you want, but it's right at the bottom, which is probably nice for him because he can just
Yeah.
swipe down,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
All the way down. So yeah, it's been
That's
quite good.
Are you using the local Tuya integration, or are you still using the cloud
No,
one?
just the cloud one. But it's all like kind of official, right? Like they
Yeah.
they
Yep.
support it officially, and it's all on the up and up, which I feel really good about. And it's super easy.
Yeah.
Downside is that
Just
it's
kind of
dependent on
works.
my ISP, but
Yeah.
I was going to say my ISP is really reliable, except that about 10 minutes before this call, I lost internet for 3 minutes
Oh
for
no.
kind of no reason. Um, and my router didn't, like, nothing went down, just my internet went down, which I'm like, oh no, someone's like dug through a cable or something
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah. And then it's going to be
But it
days to get
came
it
back,
fixed.
so it can't be that someone dug through a cable. But anyway, aside from 5 minutes today, generally I'm on fiber,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
my ISP is pretty reliable. So
Yeah.
if our
That's
internet's
cool.
down, we have complaints aside from the fact that the lights won't turn on. So
Well, yeah, I guess like so if you are heavily reliant on Tuya, like if the internet is down, how broken is your smart home then?
like all of the lights still work on their switches. Like if you flick, like, so if the internet goes down and you need to turn a light on, you just have to turn it off before you can turn it on, right? Like, it's just you toggle the switch an extra time, and it's no problem at all. Um, the like, we have a couple of those like plugs that you can plug lamps and stuff into, and they have buttons right on them that you can hit. So anything that isn't, like, it's just the light bulbs. The trick is just to turn them off and then on to get them to come on, if you need them to come on manually. So the downside, right, of the light bulbs is that if the switch happens to be off, you can't you can't use them as smart bulbs anymore. But we've all pretty much completely broken habits of using switches that, like, no, it never happens anymore, really, that a switch is switched. Even with visitors and stuff, hardly at all.
Interesting. Do you find that now compared to when when we first had you on the show, do you find that it's like you have a lot more intuitive, like, or sorry, how can I say this? From when you first came on the show to now, do you find that now you're doing more things that are more intuitive to, like, anybody rather than just how you use it, or has that always been a main kind of design principle of like should be ease of use for any guests that come in or anybody like that, or
No, it never has. I think it's just come through Home Assistant. Like, it kind of never mattered. Like, as long as my boyfriend was willing to use it, it
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of never mattered. And it's just that it's gotten easier and easier, right? Like, it's it's to the point now where, like, if we, I don't know, I've stopped installing the betas at the point zero, waiting for the point one, because we now have a couple of people in the house, and it's a little more annoying when we can't get to the furnace specifically. But we had a couple betas ago where um, I think it was Tuya. Anyway, some thing we use all the time was just like chronically broken, and it was really easy to fix. You just had to go in and like tell the integration manually to resync, and it would re-authenticate. It was fine. And definitely like 5 years ago, I could not have shown Charlie how to like shown him how to do that and had him feel like he was empowered to just fix it when it broke. Like that's just not a thing that could have happened. And now, like the devices page, like it's just he can right on the screen, right? He can just tap on it and go to device info and it's right there for him to get to the integration to refresh it. Like it's so easy. And it really isn't something that I even still really, have as a high priority. It's just that Home Assistant has gotten so much better that it's just not an issue anymore. It's really nice. It's done all that work for me.
One of the attributions for that will be, moving away from YAML into their like storage and their config. I noticed last time you were on, you were posting your config to GitHub. It doesn't look like it's been updated in a few years. Not throwing any shade. I don't even have my one up there. Has the transition away from YAML and the introduction of, like the automation UI moved you off YAML yourself, or are you still using YAML to write your automations?
Not for automations at all. There's one thing that I like. There's something. Oh, maybe it's binary sensors. Anyway, there's some sensor that you still have to tweak in YAML for like the what's the fancy one? Bayesian, the Bayesian ones.
Asian sensor,
You
yeah.
still
Yeah.
can't do in the UI or couldn't when I was last tweaking one of those. Um, and then I have like the for my my power consumption, like the config for parsing the MQTT. I probably could do that in the UI now. But I copied it, like someone shared it on a forum post and I just copy pasted it and never thought about it again. And it just works. And it's doing like timestamp conversions and stuff. But really, like I I hardly ever am touching YAML at all anymore. And if I am, it's like a little bit within and like because you can use it within the automations and stuff now, right? And so it's like the actual like YAML files almost never. To the point that I think I think my file browser on Home Assistant was broken for like a year before I even noticed, because I just don't ever open the file, like the config files directly anymore at all.
Yeah. I'm trying to think as you're talking about that. I'm trying to think when the last time I did was, and I honestly couldn't tell you when the last time I looked at the actual raw YAML files and changed something in there, right? Because most, if not all, things are in the UI now, which I'm a big fan of. I get that there's people, that are on both sides of that fence, right? Like I would rather do things with the UI, or like even I don't know if I'm somewhere remote, I can pop out my cell phone and build an automation there, like whatever that is, right? Rather than having to do that through YAML, right? Which obviously is a little harder, but for those that want to use it, great. You can still kind of do that, right? But I love not having to do that.
Yeah, what I think as LLMs have come out the last couple of years, like the fact that Home Assistant already has a text-based way of interacting with it, just like it just means no one had to build that for it to work, right? Like no one was like, how are you going to make Home Assistant work so that ChatGPT can build things out for me? It's like it was built that way from the beginning. That's already there. And so I think there's some real advantages to having that sort of be what it like that it was originally designed to be human readable, for the configs and stuff under the hood for sure.
Yeah, and what's nice is you can even like let's say whatever LLM flavor of the day, you go in, hey, build me an automation to do blah blah blah. Here's my entity name, so on and so forth, and you can just copy that YAML that it spits out and just literally Control V or Command V into your browser, and it'll just be like, bam, here it is, right? You don't even need to go into the editor to do that. You can do it in the UI. It's slick. Yeah, I love that.
And you mentioned GitHub, and yeah, no, I haven't push changes there for a while. But like I say, looking at my config file, like it's not interesting. There's nothing good in there. And we have backups now.
Yeah.
And so like, I'm not worried of like, how will I see, what changed to make sure that I haven't broken something. I've got like 9 gigs of backups at the moment, apparently,
Yeah.
which is maybe a little more than I need. But it all runs automatically, and so I just don't worry about it. I did my first restore from backup a few months ago. Again, a beta update that broke some critical
Mhm.
infrastructure. And that was super smooth too. Like it's just very easy.
That's cool. I've never actually had to do a recovery, knock on wood. I'm hoping never have to. But how was that process? I mean, just for my own curiosity, what?
Yeah, so I wasn't like I hadn't done it before. Like I kind of knew that we had these new backups and that it wouldn't make sense for us to have this beautiful new backup UI without a way to restore, because why else would you have a
Mhm.
backup? And I think I was probably in the beta Discord when I realized that like this was a beta bug and that it was not okay, like that it was
Mm.
just not going to work until it was fixed. I think it was the one that broke the iPad. Like it just, I never looked at what actually happened. I meant to, but we depend on the iPad as sort of the main, like, we all have it on our phones, but it's just much nicer to not
Yeah.
have to have your phone in your hand when you're walking through the house or whatever, right in the entryway. And it wouldn't load on the iPad at all. It wouldn't load in a browser. It wouldn't load in the app. The test, like there's like a um, demo Home Assistant that you can load up, and that loaded fine. But once it was on the beta, it just wouldn't load at all. It gave a really strange error message. Anyway, once I realized that it was a known issue, like that they knew about it and were working on a fix, I had to roll back. And I think someone in the Discord said, like, you just click on it and it'll say restore, and you click restore. Like, it really was so easy that it wasn't even a process. The only thing was that between when I'd updated to the beta and when I rolled back, my boyfriend had got a new phone. And I have a dashboard that has a bunch of the properties of his phone, mostly so that at a quick glance I can tell if he's awake in the morning before I do something noisy. And I had gone in and already moved all those, like switched them to his new mobile device in that little
Right.
dashboard, and then
Yeah.
restored from backup. And of course, those changes reverted,
You know what?
which
That's
is
fine. That's still
what should
better
have
than having to
happened, right?
rebuild all of everything,
Right.
right?
Like it
It's
was no, and or like the
yeah.
thing was it was a critical issue. It needed, like, I needed to fix it in an hour, not in a day. Right. And
Yeah.
so
Right.
the fact that I could just, and that now I know that I can just click restore and know that in an hour it'll be back to where it was, is just, and I mean, it
Yeah.
didn't, to be clear, it did not take an hour. It took
Yeah.
probably
Yeah. Yeah.
3 minutes. But to just have the confidence that I can very quickly restore is really powerful. And yeah, it was so easy that there's not even there's not even a process. Like you just literally click on the version you want, and it's like, do you want to restore from this version? And you click yes, and like that's the end of it.
Amazing. Where
Um,
are you backing up to, if you don't mind me asking? Is it a NAS or is it some other like a
oh, I think it's
external
through
thing or Home
your
Assistant Cloud or
favorite sponsors. Yeah.
I
Oh,
love it.
nice.
Home Assistant
That's awesome.
Cloud. Yeah. I think it also is local. Because I think it will eventually yell at me when the hard drive starts to get full. Um, but oh yeah, stored in 2 locations. So it's stored like on the local drive, and
Locally and
but not off,
nice.
like not off the device, just right on the little Home
Yeah.
Assistant Blue guy.
Yeah.
That's cool. I might try and with my extra box that I have, I might try and like I don't need to break it. I might just try and do a restore of it to see if it to see how that works and how that fares. I might just so I know again. It's funny. We talk about home assistant every day. We know we can do it. I've never actually seen it or done it myself. So it's
Yeah, well,
yeah.
and I was prepared for it to kind of be a whole thing, right? Like I've
Yeah.
Yeah.
done WordPress restores, and like that's
Yeah,
not a
yeah,
fun
yeah.
Oh,
day.
God. No.
My uncle needed one of those the other day, and I just had him. I said, pick an ISP that offers this as a service that's included with your year, and I won't have to think about it. But yeah,
That's
no, it
awesome.
was totally smooth, very obvious, right? This check boxes of like which pieces you want to overwrite,
Yeah.
there wasn't one for like specifically these tiny dashboard config changes you made yesterday. Although for all I know, maybe there was and I didn't look. But yeah, no, it was great. It did exactly what it said on the tin, super easily. It runs like the backups, like I say, they run automatically. Um,
Yeah,
and then whenever you update or whatever, it asks if you want to take another snapshot. So yeah, it's great.
that's perfect.
Well, you mentioned sponsors before, and so if you want to upgrade your smart home, you can't go past our sponsor, Zeus. Zeus have just released their brand new Z-Wave long-range siren and chime, the ZSE 5800LR. You can trigger audio and visual LED alarms based on smart sensors or other conditions, and the audio speaker plays your own files for personalized automation, or there's a selection in a preloaded library. Zeus are an official Works with Home Assistant partner, helping Nabucasa by providing long-range devices for testing the new Home Assistant Connect ZWA2 radio. Zeus offer a range of affordable and innovative devices, including water leak sensors, water valve controllers, smart plugs, and scene controllers. Their new Zen 78 high power relay allows you to control and monitor higher load appliances, up to 40 amps, which is perfect for pool pumps, air compressors, and other high power outlets. For the best prices on all Zeus products, head over to thesmartesthouse.com. That's thesmartesthouse.com.
I'm glad their URL is easy to
Easy
understand.
to, yeah, right?
It's
I
so
Like,
good.
I
no
definitely typed in
forward
Zeus
slashes.
spelled the other way
Yes,
before
yeah,
finding it, but that high power option, I need to remember to look into that. I have a friend I was trying to set up a smart switch for a couple of years ago. For her, she has like a pump on a well for her livestock.
yeah, yeah,
And the chronic problem is that, like, especially in the winter, if it gets left on, not only does it drain the well, but like the whole system freezes up. And then until it thaws out, she can't
Yeah,
use it at
you
all.
don't have water. Yeah,
And so I was like, well, this is an easy problem to solve, right? Like, we'll just put a smart switch on it and then you can just, if it's been on for more than whatever, shut it off. End of
yeah,
story. But it's, I think, 30 amps. And that like we could have built something custom, but there is no smart switch at that time that would run a 30 amp circuit safely. And so that's really
yeah,
exciting that they're bringing out those harder, um, higher
yeah.
power
Because
systems.
generally the high power stuff is, like, or for industrial sort of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then you got to pay the big bucks. But now we're sort of getting this into the home space, right? Much more affordable.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, well, and she
And they
didn't
built
need a whole industrial setup. Like, really, she just needed a smart switch,
need
but she
Yeah,
thing.
needed
Yeah.
one that isn't going to catch fire if she runs more than 15 amps through it. So,
Yeah. And the nice thing is, to Phil's earlier point too, with because you said it's in like a property, right? With like livestock and stuff. If it's a little further out, Z-Wave LR is a really cool option for that too, right? And I was actually, I know we're getting completely off task here, but I was talking to just another person of the community, and they were talking about how they used to have an older controller or whatever, and they had a lot of spottiness, a lot of issues, things like that. And they actually switched to a ZWA2, and with LR, and that's pretty much like changed their world, right? And even there, it's now again my ZWA2 setup behind me here, even though my setup is in the basement, right? So because it can be remote, whatever, so you can move it closer to the source in Wi-Fi range and do that. So there you go
do you
to
know
get it.
anyone using LoRa, the low power long range stuff?
I mean, so right there is actually for those of you watching on YouTube, that is actually a Meshtastic node. I've got another one here somewhere right there. So I do know a bunch of people that are using Meshtastic in like in that community,
Mm-hmm.
and a few people that have devices attached to that, and sending whatever over LoRa. Uh, in my professional life, I do know a few organizations that leverage it, especially in like different spaces, right? So and it's used for different things. If you need a lot of bandwidth, it's not good. But if it's
Mm-hmm.
just like a
Yeah.
hey, the device is on or the device is off, like that kind of
mm,
stuff, it's perfect for that.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
I was listening to someone like in a totally different podcast space, like some tech podcast space, talking about using it for I can't even remember now what he was using it for, if it was temperature or water, maybe it was water presence. It's like it was a fairly binary, low, but that you could like close it in his fridge and still get the signal that kind of thing, and just the flexibility of the long range there.
Yeah, I think for the most part, I think these ones are 915 megahertz, which is again different spectrum than Wi-Fi or whatever, right? So, and range-wise, it's a little better.
Hmm.
Again, the only problem is it's not great for high bandwidth application, at least not today. And LoRa itself is just a standard rather than it's you have different applications on it, right? So Meshtastic is one,
Yeah, it's
whatever.
just the protocol.
Yeah, realistically, you'll probably need some kind of a hub for
Yes.
uh for that, right? Based on whatever application
Yeah.
that they're using. So
Yeah, and I'm still out here living the hubless lifestyle, so I'm sure
I
I'll
love
get there
that.
at some point. But we're
You know
just
what? It's so hard to avoid. I despise hubs, but then there's certain ecosystems that, like, again, Lutron, for example, that I use quite a bit. All of my light switches are all Lutron, and I genuinely do like them, and that needs a hub. That's the only thing I hate about it, right? And it's but it's probably so great because it is running their whatever they run on there. But
The Home Assistant Green as a Matter server, like that's the only thing that's real. Like I could probably run a Matter container. I just haven't been like Home Assistant Green does it right. But I was like, oh, I don't need this green on at the moment because it's not doing anything. I took it down, and then all of a sudden, all my Matter devices were like unreachable. I'm like, oh, that's right. I've got the Matter server out on running on that thing. Right. Yeah, got to put
yeah,
that
I
back on.
think that's what I decided my aspiration is to just let Matter solve my problems for me. And it seems to be like I don't have anything yet that's like I think I have Matter built into a handful of things. I don't think anything's actively using Matter in my house right now. I say with very little confidence. But like when it was first coming out, people were sure not very certain that it would get wide adoption, and I think the Home Assistant project has been a huge part of it getting wide adoption, and that it like it takes time for new generations of devices to be rolled out, but that most of them seem to be just including it in a way that just maybe in 10 years we'll forget that we ever had these compatibility problems with all these
I don't know about
six
that.
different
I I
ecosystems.
I I'm willing to bet against that.
Fair enough.
It's mo protocols, mo problems, right? It's it is. Again, I'm starting to have better hopes for Matter, but I don't know. I'm not there yet. It's Matter over Thread right now for me is just terrible.
Oh, it's just
Yeah,
I
not working well.
Yeah, like it's just not working, period. Right? Like
Yeah.
I can't even on my iPhone, I can't get it. I can't get my iPhone even to properly register itself as a um whatever in Home Assistant where it needs to exchange keys and all
Mhm.
that. Yeah,
Interesting.
I've been trying for like 2 weeks. Yeah, no luck.
I don't have
But
an iPhone anymore. I quit my corporate job and had to send it back. So
that's
back
okay.
to the old Nokia
iPhone's
flip
easy.
phone. Okay.
Android's
It's
the way to
yeah.
go. Just try and get Rohan on board.
I just want my
When
stuff to work. I don't really care.
Yeah, that's
It's
fair.
just
Courtney, last time you were here, you were doing a lot of stuff with Google Home as your main voice driver. Since
yeah.
then, Home Assistant has done the Year of the Voice and has now got their own voice hardware. Are you still using the Google Home as your main voice driver?
yeah, we are. We don't use it as much as we did, for sure. Um, it still occasionally answers you when you don't actually mean for it to. Um, but I was waiting slash hoping for like Google Mini speaker conversion kits or tools or whatever. And there was some work going on that. I haven't checked in on it in a while, but I know there were a couple of people who were sort of working on adapting the speakers to use the existing hardware with the Year of the Voice stuff on the Home Assistant side. Um, but we haven't like I sort of looked at that and went, oh good, people are making progress, and then sort of wandered away, found other things to worry about for a bit. So
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, like your use of voice is sort of faded away. I would say that is here too, right? Like I've got an Echo Show on my desk here, but it's muted. And I don't think I really ask her any questions, right? The only thing we really use her now for is timers in the kitchen. Like,
Yeah, well, and like we do use it like, your hands are full, shut off this light, turn on that light, like, those kinds of things. But certainly not as enthusiastically as we were several years ago. Like because I had like even like I don't know if you should call them automations. I don't remember what Google calls them, but like different like voice commands that did like bulk actions and stuff set up in Google, and we don't use any of that stuff anymore. And I think some of that is just that Home Assistant is like it's just so easy to set things up in there. And with the mobile app being so good with sensors, we're all Android, and so I know iPhone, although iPhone I think is
they're pretty
like
good
I
too.
do remember it was quite good when like I say I sent mine back about a year ago, but it was pretty good too. And so like for presence, like I mean, you guys used to ask all the time, like, what are you using for presence detection? And it was like a whole
Yeah,
conversation, and the answer is now, like you just like Nick moves in, and I just
Companion.
go, I need you to install this app, and there's his presence detection, right? Like
yeah,
here's your credentials, and he's done. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
and so like it's just a non-issue now. Uh, and and the sensors, they're mostly like real time, and so it just makes it easy to automate things. We don't have any room detection specifically set up, but kind of just don't need it. Like it's
yeah.
just not something that we miss, right? Um,
Yep.
but but yeah, the just the visibility and the ability to, if people are or aren't home, do a thing
yeah.
makes it pretty easy.
So you're not using like room presence at all, so no motion sensors in the rooms?
No, I think the security system has a motion sensor connected to it.
Yep.
I think the battery is dead and it is not integrated
Right.
with Home Assistant. Hasn't been for several years. But I think that's the only motion sensor device that we really have. I mean, there's one on, we have that Facebook portal. I got a couple of them real cheap a few years ago. We just use it to show
Yep.
us pictures and the time.
Oh, yeah, those
And
things.
then every once in a while, someone phones me on Facebook Messenger and the whole kitchen starts ringing and it's very confusing. Um, and it must have a motion sensor in it because it turns on and shows you a picture when you walk into the room. um, but that's certainly not integrated with anything. And I have kind of like, I don't know, I just assume that Meta is spying on me all the time anyway. So
Yeah,
it's fine.
gotta be it.
What's
So
one more thing?
Yeah.
so does that mean that, because all your lights are to, or most of your lights are to your base, does that mean that someone wants to turn a light on, they have to pull out their phone? Because I think we mentioned before, to turn the lights off and on, you have to power them from a wall switch. So are you like walking into a room and then pulling out your phone to turn on a light, or
I mean, no, uh, I think I use my phone mostly because I just work a little bit differently. Like I tend to think about what I'm going to do and then go do it. So like while I'm sitting there thinking about what I'm going to do, I'll like turn on the light in the basement or whatever. The high traffic lights that we use the most are either dumb lights or smart switches, and so that helps. Um, so like the hallway light is definitely the highest traffic light in that it's the one that you kind of want to be able to just turn on when you walk in the room, and it also happens to be the light switch that has a ground wire in it. Um, and so it's a smart light switch rather than the smart light bulb. Um, the bathroom light is a dumb light because it's quite like it's four bulbs. It's quite bright, and again, no neutral. Um, so the main other switches that we use are the kitchen, which is right, like the iPad is right there. Again, the wall switch and the iPad are sort of back to back, right on the same wall. And so mostly we use the iPad just as a light switch for those lights. Um, it'll be interesting actually. Like I showed Nick because I think my understanding, my experience is that once he gets the Like if he wants the light, if all he wanted was a dimmer bulb, which I'm not sure what his use case is exactly, but if all he wanted was a dimmer bulb, that he could just set it to the brightness that he wants. And then I think he can just use the wall switch and the light will just come back on at the brightness that he had set already. Until he maybe leaves it off for too long or something. Like I don't know how that works, but it'll be interesting to check in with him in a week or so and see how he's using it, whether he's talking to a speaker or using his phone or using the iPad in the hall or whatever. I'm not sure how he'll end up using it. Um, but yeah, like I think I probably use my phone. I know Charlie will as often use the speaker as the button on the plug for the lamp, like the one that we turn on and off in here all the time. And the kitchen ones, I think we mostly all use the iPad for. I use the voice actually quite a bit still for the basement
Okay.
because we've been doing renos down there, and so I changed all the smart light bulb setup because I needed a really bright light, and so it has to be on the light switch. Anyway, it's a whole
Yeah.
thing. But often I find myself like halfway down the stairs realizing that my hands are full and that I want the light on, and just shouting at the room, and it just catches it and works.
Catches it. Yeah.
It's probably the
Once every
most
four
used
times.
speaker. No,
Yeah.
the one downstairs, I don't know. All the ones up here, maybe they're too close together or whatever, but the basement
Yeah.
ones almost always work. And my phone, if I
Yeah.
have my phone, like if I have my headphones in or whatever, like it does a good job of
Yeah.
understanding what I want and actually doing it, where the speakers are just a little bit stupider than
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. It's getting so bad. Like no matter where I say, whatever, turn this on, turn something off, whatever. No matter where in the house I am, my dining room always picks it up. Most random thing, that one picks it up. I could be literally telling it to a smart speaker in front of me, directly, like a foot and a half in front of me, and me being like, turn this on. And even if I whisper, you'll hear like the dining room one whispering, being like,
Whispering into one speaker, trying to make sure no one
yeah,
else hears you. And yeah, I think it's gotten worse too. Like that feels like it's worse than it was 5 years ago.
oh my God, so much worse. So much worse.
Definitely should think about buying some You're the Voice hardware, I suppose, but we'll
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
there.
So now that you've been doing, Home Assistant for at least 6 years now, what are some of, like, if someone was starting Home Assistant today and you've obviously had a 6 year journey, what would be some advice you would give to someone starting Home Assistant today to watch out for or to do the right way?
I guess the primary thing, like my assumption is that when someone's getting into Home Assistant is that they already have something, smart bulb, smart lights, like that they have something that they want to control, that they're not starting, I'm going to use Home Assistant and then buying the things for it, which I actually did have a friend do. You guys should have him on. He has a good microphone. But um but I think typically it's the other way, right? And so my first question would just be like, do a quick, and it's so easy now, like the forums come up. Google is bad at everything, but it's still good for this, right? Like type in the platform that your device runs on, Home Assistant, and like read the top 3 forum posts of the top 3 results. And just get a sense of like, is this fine or not? Because some things still aren't, right? Like there's just some things that either can't or haven't been built in as sort of plug and play integrations. And I think that's where the real friction still lies, is for someone who has an existing device and wants an integration and doesn't have the technical background and the patience and the whatever else to fight their way through it for something there. But that, if, like I say, for my friend Ben, like he bought his house, right? Like they purchased their house, and he was like, I want to get some smart home stuff now that this is going. Like, what should I do? And a friend
Yeah.
of mine and I both use Home Assistant, sort of we're helping him out. And so he actually did the reverse, right? He started at, I'm going to use Home Assistant, and then went to, okay, which bulbs should I get? Which lock should I like? And picked kind of, and the page, I can't remember what it's called, but there's like that Home Assistant, like usage stats page that shows you
Yeah.
which things are
Yeah.
used. And that is the best resource if you're doing it that way, because you can just very quickly see that, 60,000 or 400,000 people or whatever are using this thing and have a good sense that it's going to just work.
Yeah.
um, and so that's a really useful way to go. Um, but yeah, no, I think it's really just easy. Like it's just easy now.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
much more user friendly,
It's
right? Like,
just easy.
It's cool because if you think about it, that's actually a really good way to start, right? You start with the platform and then build around it. Because again, you care about support, you care about all the stuff. And I, again, with Home Assistant being free, it's a pretty low barrier to entry. I mean,
Hmm.
you might need a little bit of, I mean, for it to be truly free, you might need a little bit of expertise just to say, hey, how can I get it installed on a Raspberry Pi or whatever, right? But
Yeah, but
other than
I
that,
mean,
or
most people know how an SD card works, right? Like installing it on a
yeah,
Raspberry Pi is, and like the hurdle that I've had, I do have a friend who doesn't pay for the
yep,
Nabucasa service. And
yep,
so we've set up like duck DNS and whatever so that
yeah.
she can get into it from work. And like then, her IP changes, like her ISP changes her IP
yeah,
address and it
yeah, yeah,
breaks and that's clumsy and kind of bad.
yeah,
But, it's just where she's at financially. It makes sense for her to phone me when her home assistant
yeah,
breaks and
yeah, 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 yeah.
and and we work through it and it's okay. But yeah, like if you can just throw I don't know what it is a month now. I haven't looked at my receipt in a long time, but if you can just throw money at Nabukasa, I mean, I feel good about that. It feels like it goes to a good cause and it just takes care of all of my problems are just taken
Yep.
care of. I don't
Yeah.
have to think about any of it. I don't think like you're like, where are your backups stored? I'm like, I don't know. Like
Yeah, yeah,
it
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
just
yeah.
I have no idea. It just works.
Absolutely. Well, even connecting into your Amazon Echo or Google Home, whatever, all that stuff. I think it's a little easier with Google Home, but with Amazon Echo, it's kind of a pain to manually do it, right? So
Yeah, I never did. I went to Nabukasa before, like I never connected my Google Home or like any of that stuff until after I had set up my Nabukasa subscription. So, because I just as soon as anyone says the words DNS, I just go, who can I give money to not have to
Don't
understand
deal with
this
that.
problem?
Yeah.
that's awesome. It's funny because I had just gotten it all set up and stuff, and then at the time, like this is before Nabukasa became a thing. Paulus reached out to Phil and I, and he was like, "Hey, here's this thing we're working on. We'd like to give you early access, whatever." And like at the time, it wasn't like a Nabu.casa like domain. It was like some random like AWS service,
Yeah,
right? And
Azure websites dot app dot net. Yeah.
yeah, 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 exactly, right. And so we're like, okay, cool, let's play with it, whatever. And I was like, well, I had just like literally like 2 weeks prior to that, I think I had just gotten all my Echoes set up, and I was like, well, that was a waste. So. But
Even thinking about like the last time we talked and the time that I had put in, like even getting that PS4 integration, like getting
yeah,
everything set up, and like maybe I should have just waited a couple years. It would have just been
Yeah.
very easy.
Yeah.
Um, but no, it's been really cool to sort of watch the platform change and grow, and do you have Charlie? Like I did a session with I can't remember their name, the UX researcher was doing sessions with users about dashboards and stuff a while ago. And I did one of those. And as part of that, I checked in with Charlie and was like, how do you feel like this has gone? Because like I know how I feel about it, but I'm kind of in software all day and he's, usually under a truck somewhere. So um has a different perspective and it's nice to have his perspective on things. And it's just like I say, it's just so clear that it's like I don't think he has the motivation. Like I don't know what the like killer product would be for him. In fact, no, I do. I think if he knew and had like the money and time to put into like Christmas decoration automation, like I think that would be the way in to like get him really excited about it. But but aside from the fact that I think he just doesn't like, I don't know that he'd take the initiative to do it. It certainly is like I say, when even when troubleshooting stuff and whatever, it all feels well within his skill set now. Like it's never got anything to do with YAML, and it's all very drag and drop, and it's just easy.
The last time we spoke, you were doing some data points. I think you're using an Amazon AWS Aurora or RDS MySQL database in the cloud. I think you just had using your free credits. Are you
Yeah, I think I was
still
probably still
doing that?
paying for that up until a couple of years ago when I finally
Yeah,
found that account and canceled it. Yeah.
yeah. So you're okay. You're not using that anymore. Like, so are you doing any long-term stats storing anywhere?
So that's a good question because I think so, but I'm not very sure. And I'm certainly not doing them in the cloud. Um,
Okay.
so I think that when I got this little fancy N2 thing, that it is set up to do that on its own hard drive because it's not an SD card. And so we're not as worried about
Yes.
like
Yeah.
read writes and whatever. But to be honest, I don't actually know. The way the database worked changed, I don't know, a couple of years ago now.
Yeah.
And at the time, I had other priorities and didn't quite keep up with what was going on and just haven't gone back to revisit it. I do know that I this is a time I did have to touch YAML. I had to change some record purge setting, um, purge keep days in recorder,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
because the default to that was just kind of way too short
Yeah.
for what I
Yeah.
Yeah.
wanted. And so I changed that. I think it's set to 60 now.
Okay.
And I remember when I was doing that, like kind of reading some things and being like, now I'm no longer sure what I am and I'm not keeping. But I have like gigabytes of historical Home Assistant data that I just need to get over deleting. And so it's maybe just
Yeah.
better if I'm not saving it. Um, so yeah, I mean, if anyone has a good use case for my data and wants to pay me for it, they're welcome
There
to.
you go. Yeah. Monetize it.
But otherwise, I just like I certainly have more than enough data to do the things I need to do, which I think is how it should be, right? Like the
Yeah.
energy
Yes.
dashboard, right? Like it's not like I go back and it's like, oh, there's no data here. Where is that data being saved? I kind of have no idea, but it doesn't really matter
Yeah.
because it
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
works.
Just works. That's cool.
I like this just works thing.
Yeah. It's so much better when it just works. All right.
Well, I mean,
Um,
to be honest, like just with, between the pandemic and kind of everything else, like if the level of effort to keep Home Assistant running was what it was 6 years ago, I wouldn't be telling you I'm still using it, right? Like that's
yeah.
just
That's fair.
Yeah.
I would have just found a different solution. I'm in a different financial situation and I would just throw money at the problem.
Yeah.
The reason that I'm still using it is because it is the best and easiest thing to use. And so it just makes sense to keep using it.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good note to leave it on. Courtney, thank you so much. Do you have any plans next 6 years? Have you got any grand plans that you want to try and achieve in the next
What
6 years?
what's your 6-year roadmap?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I imagine that we're going to get a new PlayStation in this house at some point, and I'm going to have to figure out who's building the integration for that.
Yeah.
That's
That
great.
seems to get harder with each generation. Um, I do think that like door and motion sensor stuff is sort of the next big piece, to be able to bring some, like I say, I need to cancel the alarm system I've got and kind of set up something there. So I'd like to think that when we talk in another 6 years that I'll have some sensors. I'm not sure which protocol. Maybe I'll wait for
Hey, who
Matter to
knows?
get
Maybe Matter
sorted.
over Thread will be working by then,
Right. Um, and I think the thing that I'm really excited about with like not Home Assistant specifically, but home automation stuff more generally is like we're finally maybe getting to a point where things like smart lawnmowers are almost functional. Like the
Yeah.
vacuums are pretty good now. Like that we can get these sort of smart home things that actually complete tasks in a way that means we don't have to think about them. Like the way I put my clothes in the washing machine and I just kind of know that I'll open the door and the clothes will be clean. like that level of sort of it just works, I think is starting to come for some of those other tasks. I'm not sure that the like $20,000 train it with your VR goggles robot is the way we're going to get there.
Yeah,
Um, but that these sort of smaller tools, right? Like the idea of having something that like, yeah, maintains your yard, maybe, moves your snow
sure.
around for you, like those sort of individual tasks. Like I say, I think vacuuming, I think is pretty sorted. My dad has a vacuum mop combo that like will
Okay.
vacuum and wash his floors, and he's very happy with that. And so that's the place where I'm excited to sort of see, like, I need a little dusting drone or something, and
Yes, that's the only
uh,
issue, right? Like the toilets, the bathrooms, and the dusting.
well, and
Everything is there.
Amazon tried to make a drone, but then people didn't like it
That's
looking
great.
at them, and I don't think it did anything except look at you. So
Yeah.
we need someone
It
to
was,
try
I think it
again.
was designed like if you're away, you could send this drone around the house to
Yeah,
make sure there
it
was
was
nobody in the
kind of a
house,
weird,
right?
sales
Yeah,
pitch, I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's it's I
Uh,
don't I don't know how much I trust Amazon for doing that kind of thing. It's
No, no, I
that's
can
it.
I can see the challenges there, but
Yeah,
yeah, I think
cool.
that's the dream, is really just to spend less time with the stuff that still needs doing.
Yeah. Well, Courtney, thank you so much. Yeah, I wish you luck on the next 6 years, and we'll catch up with you soon, I hope.
Yeah, thanks.
That's right.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you.